Hey guys and girls, alright, so had a renter. He's got a car he was trying to get rid of, and us being in the drift world, I was like, I see these cars around all the time, I'd probably be interested in it. So now we are the proud owners of a Miata. It had some wheels on it. I don't know if those are factory. It's got good tires. As you can see, the top's got a place in the window, so I just threw some stuff up there for the night. All the glass is good. Top's definitely shot. Interior is filthy, but nothing's busted, nothing's damaged. Everything's solid in here. It's a manual car. Carpet's dirty. It's been sitting. So under the hood, I guess the guy that owned it, I don't know if they broke it or if it was just something was damaged or something, but where the, looks like where the heater core comes out through the firewall and goes over to the back of the engine, there's something there damaged and it's leaking water out the back of the head. And the guy seems to think that the engine has to be pulled. I don't know if it does, it does. The clutch feels strong, but just like 3/4 of the way, there's just nothing. And then you got clutch, but you got about that much travel and it's in or out. So I think it may need bled or something. But it runs, I mean it runs and drives, it just dumps all the water out the back of the head from the, where the heater core is supposed to attach. And I hadn't really got into it at all. I literally unloaded it today. I got to fooling with the G35. Evidently the passenger side window motor went bad. My son and Matthew, I guess his name, was driving it back and from the drift track this weekend, and it just stopped rolling. It wouldn't go down like at all. So I fooled with it today, and I put power to the motor. It didn't change anything. So I ordered a motor, or I would have it in tonight. I'd take my G35 home. But now that I got the window tore apart, I ordered my motor, and I'll try to get the Subaru possibly down and move it out and put my son's car on the lift and put the Miata in tomorrow out of the rain. It'll stay in here for till we at least get something going where we figure out what's wrong with it. But now we have a drift Miata. May flip it, may, I don't know what we'll do with it, but either way, we got us a Miata. Alright, so we've had 2 drift events since we done the angle kit, the CNC 71 kit, and I did a bolt check, and this side was a little loose, so I did pull the bolts back out. I did put some extra Loctite on them, so if you do put this kit on, make sure you put plenty of Loctite. I used the blue, and if it ends up being loose again, I'll step it up. But I like to use the blue because I don't like bolts being stuck and having to, you know, fight them off and stuff. But I did use the blue Loctite, that's the medium. I don't think I used a lot on them. The bolts seem like they could almost be a little short, but I think they're okay. Yeah, so I just put a little extra blue Loctite. The threads look good. Everything, it didn't look like it was pulling them out. Vibration and that much abuse. I just think a little more Loctite will be the fix. The other side's not loose at all, and I'm thinking maybe I did run out of Loctite and I just used a little bit on them. I didn't use the GS300 tie rod ends. I've not necessarily seen the difference. The other ones are bulkier, but these still pull up tight and still lock into place, and I would have had to cut the tie rod ends if I'd have used the other ones. So if these wear out quick, maybe that was the reason behind it or whatever. But these have done well. we're starting to get, since we've been drifting, we're starting to get a cam seal leak and maybe even a front seal leak. But I think we're just gonna, for now, just keep throwing oil at it until this motor's been beat on and had a rough life. So I don't really want to tear it down and pull the seals and do the timing set and all that when this motor's had a rough life. My son's abused this motor. So we may consider getting a different motor and rebuilding and resealing all that, or pull this one and put a different motor in for a while and then go back through this one, rebuild. We do have a couple other options, a couple other motors sitting around that we can use. We're just going to keep the oil changed, topped off. We watch it while we're drifting, so if it's leaking, worst happen, it's really just gonna get oil down the motor some. It'd be kind of nasty. So yeah, I think we're gonna just ride it out for now. One of the electric fans didn't seem to kick on, and but once we got back and I fooled with it, I found a bad fuse. I changed it. I don't know if that was the right fuse, but you know, we fooled around with some stuff and it ended up start working. I don't know if that was the fuse to that. We're gonna recheck it because, you know, this last drift event, it wasn't blowing this time either. Might just be the settings. Maybe one's the AC fan and the other one's the radiator fan, but it's been running hot. So we're gonna try to remedy that, even if we gotta put them both on a toggle and both are on when he wants them to be on. So we've got some issues we got to work through with the cooling system still. We're still fighting this thing, and it may be the cheap knockoff radiator. We may have to upgrade the radiator. We do have some broke studs. That's the main concern today. I've got to pull the wheel off and start fooling with the back passenger side wheel. We've got a couple of broke lugs. We have to pull them, change them, and get that wheel where it's solid back on there. And oil change and some routine maintenance, bolt check. All right, here we go. All right, so we're running into a couple of issues. We've had a few broke studs where we're having to take the lugs off and on so much. So we've got two broke on this one, but we're having issues. So if you're getting into the drift scene, you better be planning on spending some money on some tires. This is what we're dealing with right now. We've spent a fortune on tires. All right, we're talking to some people. We're finding out better brands of tires that don't, well, I'll may have to pull it off to get some light on it, but like there's a hole in this tire. This brand new tire. My son went around the track maybe, I would say 4 or 5 laps, and these tires, maybe 2 or 3 different sessions, you know, so maybe 10, 15 laps at that small track. And well, there's a hole right here in this tire, and the tires are just rolling up. When they get hot, they roll. All right, so even I've been looking at like heat ranges and tread wear and all that, and we've researched and we found some different tires that seem to a lot of people like, so we're going to start trying to buy those tires. And it feels like they're going to be more expensive, but at the same time, if they last twice as long, you know, then we're actually saving money. So even if we're paying more for the tires up front, we don't have to change them as often. We can run on them longer, because I mean, this tire should run the most of a whole track day, and we're having to put 2 sets, 3 sets on in a day. And you know, of course, you know, my son stays on the track quite a bit, but that's what we're having to sift through. That and the broken studs, which that's no biggie. It's a pain. If you do it at the track, you're done for the day. But the tires, that's what we're really focused on right now, because I mean, if we're spending $500 a month or more on tires, it won't take long and we'll be done drifting. This is just, it's a lot of money, you know. I enjoy it, he enjoys it. We got to find a better system on tires, because it's a lot of money on tires. And 500 is probably low from what we're actually spending on tires a month. And that's just 2 track days. So Yeah. So if you think you're gonna get in the drifting world, and which we didn't really pay attention to the tires, we just grabbed tires and started going. But now that he's getting a lot better, we're having to find better tires because he's going through them so fast. Because the quality of tire, or at least now don't get me wrong, there's some high quality tires that we've absolutely just shredded. They're probably great, you know, in your mom's Prius or something, but you get out here on the drift track, your mom's getting 60,000 miles on these Jules. We might get a half a track day out of them, you know, and they'll be $800 set of tires. So we're having issues with tires, so we got to figure that out pretty soon, because that's gonna end up being an issue. So that's one thing you want to consider if you get into drifting. You definitely need to research your tires. When you're new, don't worry about it so much. When you start, by the time you start getting where you can drift and you're eating tires up, you need to have a game plan, because this will be what you run into. So, all right, here we go.
I'm feeling high.